So up next is our first session for the day. That'll be really power-packed session. The Indian media and entertainment industry is poised on the cusp of exponential growth, as we all know. A recent report by KPMG describes that the television industry in India is still a Goliath with significant headroom for growth, especially in the rural India. And my personal belief is that India is actually what we see in the rural areas. Well, to talk on this, we are really privileged to invite Ms. Paulomi Chakrabarti, who is the Associate Vice President at KPMG. Can we just give her a huge round of applause before she comes on stage? Well, along with her, we have Mr. Vibhor Gauba, Associate Partner, KPMG, the beautiful lady on stage. I would like to invite to join her, Mr. Winsley Fernandez, for the discussion and the chit-chat.
But Paulomi, I thought I'll just do a quick chat. I think we may want to reduce the lights so everyone can see the numbers. You know, all of us keep on worrying about what is the future of television, right? The fact is actually very different. We keep on hearing, you know, all kinds of challenges that the industry faces. OTT is a big thing. Is it going to eat up into television? There's multiple aspects that we keep on hearing. But the fact is actually far from reality. Reality is very different. And Paulomi and Vibhor have recently authored a fantastic report. In fact, Paulomi, I'm going to have your report circulated to all the attendees. They've done a fantastic report actually portraying the truth of the industry. This is a research report that has been done. And if I may request, why don't we have, has Vibhor arrived? Yeah, okay. As soon as he comes in, we can join us on stage. So Paulomi, can I go straight? Can we start rather than... So can we have the change in slide, please? Paulomi, do you want to do a quick heads up on the report first?
Yeah, sure. So the report we published was on the role of sports broadcasting on TV. And while that is a subset, the main idea is that TV as a medium is the biggest entertainment medium in the country. And that has not abated, even given the rapid rise that OTT has seen in the COVID times. Reasons, of course, it's a large screen experience. In India, we know family viewing and co-viewing is very important. And OTT and TV, there's a huge price gap, which makes OTT less affordable for the masses. And that is really the tone of the report as well as today's discussion.
Okay, may I change for you so
Absolutely.
you can...
Yeah.
Shall I give this to you, Paulomi? The green button is to go forward.
So this you see is our estimations on the size of the media and entertainment industry. As we know, it has recovered from the COVID impact and has shown a significant growth of 20% CAGR between FY 2021 to now. We expect the industry to grow at 9% till FY 26.
So what I'm seeing here is that television will continue to remain an important medium for reaching consumers, right?
Yeah.
It will continue, right? Yeah.
So if we look at the GDP ratio, M&E industry to GDP was 0.56% in FY 21, and we expect it to go up to 0.7% in FY 26. The digital media business, which is your gaming, OTT, and digital advertising, are all expected to increase at a rapid pace and contribute to 41% of the industry by FY 27. Video entertainment, which is both your linear as well as non-linear, is expected to continue the domination and contribute 43% to the overall media pie. However, even with the growth of OTT, with OTT expected to pick up due to increase in penetration of home broadband and 5G, TV will remain the main source of entertainment with India and continue to have 35% market contribution even in FY 26.
Vibhor, you made a grand entry. Go on.
Thank you. Sorry, I got stuck in
No, he deliberately came late because he wanted the red carpet and the music didn't play for him, yeah. Vibhor, good to have you. We were just starting off, Vibhor.
Yeah.
I was just sharing, Vibhor, there's been a lot of gloom and doom earlier, right? A lot of us in the audience, including myself, have always had this thing that we've been told linear is seeing a kind of death. It's in its death knell. But what we read in your report gave us all a good sense that if we do things right, there's plenty of light at the end of the tunnel.
No, absolutely.
So that was the backdrop.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
TV right now, if you look at the reach that TV enjoys, we have 850 to 900 million people who watch TV.
Okay.
And when we were doing our report as well, some genres on TV, and we spoke about sports at that point in time. Sports, one property, which is the IPL, reaches 400 to 450 million viewers in a season. And if you combine the top properties on other GEC channels, you do not get the total combined value also, which is 400 million. So TV is the mass medium in the country, and by far the largest medium, and the reach that TV has is actually 2x that of digital right now. Having said that, it is not untrue that digital is not growing fast. Digital is growing fast, digital is growing, consumption is growing fast. But what is happening on digital is, in India especially, if you look at the historical view that India as a market has, we have about, if you look at a broadcaster, 65% of broadcaster revenues come from advertising, right? And about 35% come from subscription. India is a very notoriously difficult market to get money out of consumers. And that is what is happening in digital right now, wherein in digital, there are massive spends that are being made by OTT platforms on digital rights. I mean, you look at the IPL rights. TV was 24,000 crores, and digital, including overseas digital, was actually exceeding that. It was 24,800 crores. So digital has reached that level wherein you are seeing consumption happening, but monetization is lagging a little bit. Wherein, people, 2 years back, right, we had about 60 odd million subscribers on OTT platforms, and I'm talking about direct subscribers. People were expecting it to actually balloon to over 100 million, but we haven't reached that mark as yet. So TV, as Poulomi was saying, will remain the largest medium of entertainment in the country. And even if you look at the next slide, Poulomi. Even if you look at the next slide, you see this, right? This is actually data in terms of what is the consumption pattern of a person on media in a day. On an overall basis, if you look at 3-4 years back, TV was close to 55-58%. Digital was around 10%. What has happened is TV is still 55% odd. Digital has grown from 10% to close to 30% right now. So digital has not been able to eat into the share of TV. But what has happened is digital has cannibalized some of the other mediums.
Understood.
Yeah.
So television is clearly, so are you saying therefore as a consumer, chances are that I will continue with my television, but I will also have digital, right?
No, absolutely. And there is data that we have in the report going ahead, wherein, we have close to 20 odd million connected homes in India. Now, when we look at cord cutting data, people who have actually cut the cord completely, that is less than 1 million. Now, if 10 to 20 million people are watching, internet-based content on TV, but have cut the cord only to the extent of 0.5 to 0.6 million, it shows that both mediums can coexist. And it is important, for us distributors to understand that we should reach the consumer in the medium that they want. Because eventually they want to watch content at the end of the day. And that is something that even broadcasters are doing. Broadcasters are now looking at themselves as content companies. It doesn't matter how you reach the consumer. But, having said that, if you just see 4 hours and 4.4 hours, actually the time spent on TV has grown. Yeah. I mean, irrespective of the, increase that we saw during COVID, because COVID people were at home. So there was a significant increase at that point in time. It has come down a little bit, but the new normal is higher than the pre-COVID levels.
So you're anyways on an upward trend is what you've...
It is on an upward trend, and TV importantly has not lost share as far as consumption time on a daily basis is concerned.
Got it.
Yeah, so this is what I was talking about. Also what is happening is specifically, so this is something I spoke about TV. On digital platforms also, I think what is important is digital itself is seeing a competition right now. So in digital, you have OTT platforms like Netflix, Hotstar, Amazon, and the world. They are also seeing internal competition from short form video platforms. Because the millennial group, which is the 15 to 24 target group, is actually spending a lot of time on the likes of Instagram, on Facebook. And short form video is something that is gaining traction there. And short form video in India is actually largely AVOD. It is advertisement driven. So what is happening is the OTT platforms are not able to monetize it completely. And I am not sure how many of you have read it, But in the last 3 months, the likes of Amazon and Netflix have started to make certain production budget cuts as far as original programming on OTT is considered.
Right,
You compare that original programming with TV, and we saw that number, right, some time back. Original programming on OTT, if you look at all the OTT platforms in the country and look at the number of hours, we get to close to about 2,000, 2,500 hours a year. Compare that with TV, wherein on one GEC channel, every day, there is four hours of original programming at least, if you take into account the prime time.
Right.
Multiply that by 365 and then multiply that by Hindi regional channels, Hindi channels, regional channels and all those kind of things. It is close to 1 lakh hours. So there is no competition.
People are spoiled for content
People are spoiled for content on linear.
On linear.
So, I mean, the content availability on linear is so massive that there is no competition as far as OTT is also considered.
Changing, guys? I think, yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Now, we wanted to also look at the video market in India, and there are some statistics here that we have put together out for you. I think I'll start off with the stuff that is below, right, which is the TV household. Now, this is the BARC data that was published in 2020, wherein we said that 210 million households were there. Important thing to note in this 210 million households is the fact that rural penetration in India is only 62% right now. Also, the fact of the matter is, if you look at this overall penetration of the overall households in India, which is 300 odd million, we are about only 70% penetrated. We compared this with Southeast Asian countries, which are at similar, GDP levels as that of India and similar ability to spend on a purchasing power parity basis. And if you look at those countries, they have about 90 to 95% penetration of TV, which denotes that especially in India, there is still a long way to go for TV households to come in.
So, Vibhor, sorry. So, you're saying still, even in this 248, the headroom that's available is significant, right? For growth?
I mean, we are still not taking into account. So, basically, this 248 which is there, this 248 would have been higher if there is no cord cutting going on. Now, the fact of the matter is, we cannot shy away from cord cutting. Part of it will happen. And I can tell you, I am a cord cutter. So I'm talking statistics on TV, but I am a cord cutter.
He's a cord cutter. Make sure he gets a connection.
Yeah.
Lock the door until he signs the subscription.
No, I'm a cord cutter because my child I don't watch much. I watch only on mobile. My child watches only YouTube.
That is a reality.
That is it. Yeah. So we look at 260 odd million, which is close to 80 to 90% penetration is something that we are going to get. Now, this is going to be a mix of both DD Free Dish as well as the pay TV. Also, what is important, and as we have been speaking to industry people over the last couple of years, DD Free Dish is important and there is original content there. But what happens is after a period of time, when people watch DD Free Dish, they want to do more. They want to convert more. So what we have assumed in this case also is that there is certain churn which is going to be there out of DD Free Dish and converting into
the
pay TV,
into the pay services.
Because because what is happening is after a point in time, as consumption grows and as disposable income grows, people want to watch more, people want to watch better content. And it is a fact that on pay TV, better content is there. Having said that, DD Free Dish is going to remain relevant, very, very relevant. DD Free Dish, we believe, is going to touch, right now, I think there are 42, 43 million households. At the peak, they are going to touch 50 to 53 million households. Obviously, there will be some reverse churn also, as I mentioned, that will be happening. And that reverse churn will mean that they'll end up in a steady state at 49 to 50 million households. So, in that sense, DD Free Dish and pay TV market, the fact that India is the most affordable pay TV market in the country, it will ensure that our TV households reach a level of close to 250 million. That is one part.
So Vibhor, again, just another question. So I hear you loud and clear. So there is a DD Free Dish composition of say 42 million today. So as you rightly said that will keep on increasing, but there's also a significant creamy layer in that who would then want to migrate into pay. And the way I see it is that the best pay for them would be probably cable television.
Absolutely.
Because that's a lower price point as compared to the cost of a DTH connection or something.
And the cost of a DTH connection is sometimes a deterrent for these people.
For them, okay.
For a deterrent for these people. So we do believe definitely that cable will be a very attractive proposition for these guys who actually want to experience the full power of pay TV.
Sure.
That is one. Another aspect I'd like to talk about is if you look at cord cutters, and this is cord cut. Let's talk about that. Let's spend some time on cord cutting. Now, cord cutting is something in India which everybody has been saying will be massive and will spell the death knell of TV.
Correct.
And that is what the narrative has been. When we actually looked into the data, we found out otherwise. I mean, we found out that cord cutting in India is very small
guys,
right
please
now.
hear this. Very
Yeah.
critical for all our DPOs.
Yeah.
Sorry, Vibhor, because
Yeah.
we've been hearing this thing that cord cutting is going to kill our business.
Yes.
right?
So what is happening is cord cutting in India, and when we looked at surveys, when we spoke to people, what is happening is somebody who watches television and has that appointment viewing and has that experience of sitting with the family and watching it, that is not replicable as far as individualistic viewing on phone is considered. So what happens is cord cutting is most prevalent in people who actually watch internet-based content on the large screen. Now, if you look at India on an overall basis, and the smart TVs and the connected TVs that we have about 22 to 23 million smart or connected TVs. Now, I'm not saying all these 22 to 23 million are cord cutters. They have the capability to watch content online.
Right.
Now, whether they're watching online or not is another matter. Also, the fact of the matter is you cannot have a hotspot from your mobile and stream content onto the TV.
Onto your TV, yeah.
Yeah, because all said and done in India, 4G, even it is prevalent and we have close to 85 to 90% coverage of 4G. But 4G in India is still patchy to an extent. We do believe that when 5G comes in and when 5G matures, 5G has actually come in right now, but when
The
it
maturity,
matures,
yeah.
the maturity is at least 2 years away,
yeah.
It's, if not more.
Yeah.
So when 5G matures in India and we do get gigabit speeds, that is when cord cutting could eventually in reality come in.
Yeah.
But till that time, it is important for cord cutting to ensure that you have a wired connection at home. And we all know the data, right? Wired connections in India, even though Jio said when they launched that they'll reach 50 million households in 3 years, FTTH households. They're actually FTTH households, if you look at the TRAI data, is only 2.5 million right now, right? So all of these factors tell us that cord cutting in India, which is eventually people moving away with their connection, having broadband at home and watching exclusive content on TV, is only to the extent of 0.5 million right now.
Got you.
And given the fact that TV, the reach that it enjoys, and the fact that there is significant content available on TV, means cord cutting is something that is not immediate and it's not going to be relevant right now.
Right.
I mean, there will be cord cutting going ahead in the future when 5G matures in, but we have said that 13 million households, and this is something we are projecting because we believe that by 2025, 5G is something that will be largely prevalent and at least have 40 to 45% penetration in India.
Okay.
By that time, you will see 13 to 15 million households potentially cutting the cord and moving away. And these will be belonging to the top 8 cities of India.
Okay.
Because this will be the creamy layer who would have that kind of money to do that. And it is important to note here. Today, TV, if you look at it, DD free dish is free, obviously, with the initial investment.
Yeah.
You want to watch only FT on cable, you need to pay 153 rupees. And if you want to watch pay TV, where the basic pay TV channels, including one Star Sports, for example, you'll need to pay between 250 to 300 rupees.
Right.
Now take into account, and we did this analysis.
Yeah.
We looked at an analysis of basic connection of 100 Mbps that we'll need for 699 rupees. And you actually take subscription of Hotstar, you take subscription of Sony Live, Netflix and Amazon. If you take these subscriptions on a yearly basis, along with the broadband cost on a monthly basis, and compare that with the 250 to 300 rupees that you pay on TV, the cost of cord cutting is 2.5 to 3x.
So 3 times. So you're right.
So your outlay will be 3 times, because what we generally say is in this case that, okay, if my Star network, let's say, is available to me on a DPO bundle pack of X rupees a month, and Hotstar is available to me at 899 a month, or let me take a mobile plan at 399 a month, the cost is the same. But what we forget is adding the broadband cost on a monthly basis.
Correct.
The broadband cost on a monthly basis, a reasonable number is 700 rupees.
This is a very good point.
And if you compare that, you have an additional 8,500 rupees outlay at the end of the year. So cord cutting is for the average consumer. I'm not talking about the creamy layer. Creamy layer will cut the cord. But for the average consumer, cord cutting is still costlier than actually watching TV.
No,
TV
Vibhor,
gives
you're
you
right. And we make the error, Vibhor. I'm completely with you. I think all of us, I don't think there's anyone in this room who doesn't make the error. We make the error. Very often consumer compares Voot plus Disney Hotstar plus Amazon plus this plus that and said, boss, I'm getting all these channels for X. What we forget to load on is the 100 Mbps broadband, which is required to deliver
Which is
that
required
X,
to deliver
right?
that.
Good
and,
point.
And the fact of the matter is, cost of even OTT is going to go up. I mean, if you know, Voot, and I will talk about Jio is paying 24,000 crores for IPL rights. They are going to make some money at the end of it.
Right.
Obviously, part of it will be customer acquisition, but part of it will be recovering a part of that money.
Yeah.
So cost of digital content is not something that is going to go down. It is either going to remain the same or go up. And even at the same levels, we are looking at 3x difference. As if you compare the cost of watching TV versus the cost of watching everything online and
Understood.
removing your TV.
Yeah.
So which is why we feel that TV in India is going to be very relevant, is going to remain number one. Obviously, if you look at the OTT market size, and you know, anybody can do the CAGR growth rates, the growth rates will be higher on OTT, and which is okay, beyond a point, because there is a low base effect also.
Correct.
But TV, if you look at the overall market size, we are looking at 96,500 crore market on TV as compared to a 37,000 crore market on OTT. And even in OTT, SVOD is something that we are projecting is going to be lower. It's close to around $2 billion, because India inherently is not a very massive pay market. People don't like to pay for content. People like stuff for free, which is what explains the fact that in India on OTT, YouTube is the largest platform by far. YouTube has close to 430, 440 million monthly active users. So this is what I wanted to actually present here as far as the overall video market size is considered. And the
Does anyone have any
Yeah.
question on this? I mean, we'll take questions at the end, but if someone has any question, please feel free. This is an interactive session, and
Please.
Vibhor and Paulomi are the experts. I mean, they've done incredible research on this, and if there's anyone who needs anything clarified, feel free to interrupt us anytime.
Than our opinions.
Yes,
and-
absolutely,
and-
always.
Exactly.
You know, when
Always.
it comes from credible people like you, you know, we feel very good. The only little, you know, opinion or my thought process is that, you know, today broadband is taken like must have.
Water.
You
Essential
so,
services,
Yeah.
yeah.
So when we compare, you know, OTT versus, let's say, TV subscription, we cannot factor in loading, or we cannot load broadband on one side, because, you know, irrespective of whether you want to go for OTT or you want to have, you know, linear TV connectivity, you'll still have a broadband connection at home for many other applications and many other reasons. So that could
Got you.
possibly be.
But
Got you.
Prem, my point is, if that were to be the case, and you are absolutely right, for you and me, broadband is like water. We need it to live. Why would there be only 30 million connections, and why would there be 850 million wireless connections? You see the gap that is there in terms of broadband.
That I think is more to do with the, you know, the pace at which
the
things
pace
can
at which
provision.
we are raising, and obviously the fact that to actually have the right of way as far as broadband rollouts is considered, and the fact that you reach those consumers and actually convert those, that is not maybe cost effective for people. What people think and what telcos are thinking, that, you know, you actually give a 299 rupee pack and give 1.5 GB data every day, and people are satisfied with that. That is fine. That works for short form video consumption, that works for TikTok, that works for Instagram. But when you actually want to go and watch prime time stuff, right? When there is and we know, we used to say, and I'm not sure what the data is now, but we used to say that the average Indian TV viewer is a female. Because सारे serials सास बहू type बनते थे पहले, अब तो नहीं बनते हैं. But yeah, that is what is the viewer. So if she wants to watch 3 hours of content, and 3 hours of content if she wants to watch through Jio broadband, which gives a 1.5 GB data limit per day, that is not going to suffice. So broadband is essential for them. Broadband is essential, but the fact is, broadband is not as widespread as we think it is for us. Because if you go into tier 2 and tier 3 cities, for people, broadband is their phone only. So they'll do basic stuff on broadband. They'll surf, they will chat, they will use WhatsApp, they'll use YouTube. And that's about it. But if you want to watch content for 2-3 hours at a go, let's say in the afternoon and in the night, which is 7 to 11, the prime time, you would need something that gives you consistent throughput. And that consistent throughput is only through broadband, which is probably India. If you look at some of the developed countries and even the developing countries, India is amongst the poorest in terms of the penetration of broadband. So I would like to say that, for you and me, broadband is very essential, but this is not the mass story that is there in India right now.
So I think, I've
Yeah.
got your point very rightly put. Maybe we can consider a differential of 300 rather than a 600 for a broadband.
I just considered a 100 Mbps.
300 anyway
Yeah.
everyone would have, but somebody
Yeah.
seriously viewing
Yeah.
OTT content
Yeah,
will
but,
have to...
but even in that case, if you look at it, right, if you want to watch Netflix on TV, if you want to watch Netflix on mobile, you pay $199 a month. That is $2,400 a year. But Netflix on TV is $499. $499 a month. And Netflix, I will not say Netflix is the #1 platform in India, but for the cord cutters and for the ones who are seriously looking at it, it is a significant thing. So yeah.
So I think from 2x all the way up to 3x frame is what the arbitrage literally is.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah. I just want to put some light on what he has said. He's absolutely correct. Since I'll just give a practical example to everybody sitting here. I started an OTT platform 2 years back. It's still running. So in my OTT platform, I got very little subscribers. Though in my cable, I had around 5 lakh subscribers. But in my OTT, when I started an OTT, I just got about 25,000 subscribers. And in my TV channels that I own, my TV channels, I have about 2.5 to 3 million subscribers on YouTube. Okay, on YouTube. So what I did, with the greed that I'll get all my subscribers since it's on YouTube, I put that content on my OTT. But unfortunately, the people who were watching on YouTube, they never came and watched that on my OTT. I stopped it on YouTube. I didn't put the content there, which is very popular content in my region. But they declined to watch it on my OTT. And finally, again, I had to go back to YouTube and start it over there.
Put it there.
Because the monetization, little bit that whatever I was doing there was not coming here.
Yeah.
Then we realized that in OTT, to be very frank, only adult content runs. If you see any of this, only adult content runs.
Mukund?
So what happens? Yeah. So what happens when we put one web series, where is the little bit of adult content, immediately people shift, into that. And suddenly we get about 80,000, 90,000, 1 lakh subscribers come in. But as soon as that web series ends, we see all the subscribers again going
Dropping
out of
down.
it.
Interesting. Very
So
interesting.
people who are watching on YouTube, they get free of cost. They don't want to spend 45 rupees also. Our OTT platform, our cost is 45 rupees a month. They don't want to pay 45 rupees also to watch their content because they get it
They're getting it
free at YouTube. And even if we stop it there, then also they don't come here. So it means that from OTT, people who are watching TV, and TV is watched with the family, which on OTT you cannot do that.
Yeah.
People, even if they get in OTT, if they get at a lesser cost, they will never, shift into...
Shift there. Which is heartening for us.
Yeah.
Which is heartening for us.
It's heartening for us. So TV is always going to stay. That's what with an example I wanted to elaborate.
Great.
Thank you.
Great. Vibhor,
Yeah. So, we put some numbers together on, television and the kind of growth that television is going to see. Obviously, COVID was a bad year. We saw close to a 18 to 20% decline as far as the overall advertisement revenues was considered, and about a 3 to 4% decline as far as subscription was considered. Some of the subscribers have come back. But the fact is, and obviously what is happening right now is even the macroeconomic situation is not very favorable. So we have been cautious in this case in looking at the TV growth, and TV growth, what we are projecting is going to be close to 8 to 9% as far as advertisement is considered, which is still healthy, and close to 4 to 5% on the subscription side.
So again, Vibhor, if I can interrupt you, I'm seeing subscription, which is our core business, right? Our bread and butter, going up pretty decently, because you're talking about nearly a 6 to 8% growth.
Around 5 to 6%.
5 to 6% growth, sorry.
Yeah.
Do you see that coming from increased ARPUs? Do you see it coming from...
Both.
From both, right?
From both factors. So as I spoke about, so there is a volume play and a value play. The volume play in this case is going to be some of the subscribers that are going to come onto the pay TV bandwagon, plus the ones which are going to come from free dish to actually pay TV. That is the volume growth. So effectively, if I'm looking at the volume growth would be around 2 to 3%. It is not massive, but there is volume growth that is important to understand, and which goes against the narrative that volume growth is not going to be there or will decline. And another 2 to 3% will come from the value growth. That is effectively some of the price changes that may happen, and price changes don't happen immediately. Price changes happen once in every 2 or 3 years.
Sure.
But there is also an upselling that DPOs look at when they actually try and sell packs. So that is the growth that we are assuming that is going to be there on the subscription. And advertisement, again, we are looking at around a 6 to 7% GDP growth.
Right.
And historically, what has been the case is in India, historically, TV growth has been 1.5 to 1.7x that of GDP. So GDP growth has been moderated a little bit, and hence the TV growth in terms of advertisement, which was close to 10 to 13% levels, we have moderated that down a little.
Understood.
Having said that, if you look at global examples wherein TV is actually on a decline, the numbers are actually in minuses and coming down. There is still a significant growth that is going to be there on TV, and this is something that we see in spite of the fact that 5G has already come in and will start maturing over a period of time, which could lead to cord cutting in certain cases. So broadly, this is what I want to talk about. Also, another thing I want to talk about here is, see, there is this, I spoke about cord cutting. Now, there is another phenomena called cord shaving here. Cord shaving here is basically the fact that you keep your TV connection, but there are certain genres that you want to watch because of the availability of content on OTT. So that cord shaving is something that could be higher than cord cutting right now. And we have seen that in English genres. English genre for the last 2 years has been struggling for a lot of broadcasters. Because if you look at the kind of content that is available globally on Netflix and Amazon, English genre has significant growth there. So English genres and potentially kids, because kids has competition from YouTube Kids and some of the other OTT platforms. And for kids, it need not be just Hindi content, it can be any global content. So these are a couple of genres that could see some form of cord shaving. And cord shaving meaning I don't give away my TV connection, but I actually view it selectively on the internet platforms.
Understood.
OTT, I think I already spoke about. OTT in India, if you look at it right now, we have close to 450 to 500 million viewers in India and close to 80 million subscriptions.
I think this will answer your question. You had a question on this. This slide answers your question.
Yeah.
Please.
So if you look at the absolute numbers as far as growth is considered, OTT, if you look at the market, we are looking at a 37,000 crore market versus TV being a 95,000 crore market. In fact, TV is bigger right now than what OTT will be in FY26. As I mentioned, OTT subscription is something that is lagging in terms of conversions. If you look at US, for example, which is a very mature country, US will have a population of close to 310 to 320 million. They have close to 240 million subscriptions in the US, which basically translates to around 70% penetration of the overall population. In India, if I'm looking at my population of 135 billion, right? Of that, 80 million is less than 5% penetration as far as OTT is concerned. And even if that goes ahead, and we are assuming that our OTT subscribers will reach 140 odd million, still that number is very small as compared to the overall global numbers. So AVOD is going to be still relevant as far as India is considered. And of the AVOD numbers that we are talking about here, which is 20,000 crores, a bulk of that is going to come from the likes of YouTube or the likes of Facebook, where they are actually showing video content as well. And subscription is going to grow. There is no doubt about the fact that subscription is going to go. But what we believe is subscription right now is not growing as fast as consumption is growing. And when I spoke about earlier on, the fact that, the cost of watching OTT content, and if I want to watch a complete bouquet of it, is 3.5 to 4x. I think that is something which needs to be taken into account before arriving at a conclusion.
Which actually reflects what Sanjeev was saying.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
It reflects exactly what he's saying.
Yeah. So this is what I spoke about on cord cutting. I mean, I think this is what we have, that cord cutting is still not something that is going to be very, very relevant in India. It is going to be a reality, but not an alarming situation that, we ring the alarm bells and say that TV is going to be at decline. This is the number I wanted to speak about and show that connected TVs in India, how they are and how they are going to grow. So if you look at connected TVs in India, they are close to 22 odd million. Of these, it doesn't mean that all of these are cord cutters. It just means that they have the ability to actually watch content online. And of these, what we believe is, based on industry discussions, that close to only 30 to 40% are actually watching content online on these. Now, of these, as I said, a lot of these will be cord shavers.
Right.
So they'll be watching content online, but potentially also keeping a TV connection on, maybe because of the demographics, maybe because of the fact that they have somebody elder at home who prefers to watch on TV, stuff like that. So this number is going to grow to 40 to 45 million going ahead. And this connected TV universe is the one which is going to drive cord cutting.
Okay.
But if you look at the overall, TV universe size of the fact that we are looking at 245 to 248 million TV households in India, only about 45 million of those will be connected TVs, and there is a subset below that which will be eventually cord cutting, which I mentioned was a number of around 15 odd million.
So which is less than 5%.
Which is less than 5% of the overall TV universe. So there is going to be some impact. There is no doubt about that. But that impact is not something that, we start ringing alarm bells about.
Right.
So, and eventually what is important is to understand that whether these consumers, and even these consumers, if you look at it, and I remember this was 2 years back, when I had a TV which did not have smart TV functionality, I actually went ahead and got the Tata, what is that called? Binge Plus box.
Yeah.
So hybrid set-top boxes which have the Android or other capabilities, I think even that is something that is important, because if I'm talking about 40 to 45 million connections here and all the other TVs which are probably not having smart connectivity, there is a possibility that people who want to watch content online and have the best of both worlds, those set-top boxes could come into play, and that is something which is also an opportunity for distributors to tap into.
Yeah, so for us, hybrid becomes a very key, right?
Becomes key,
a lot of televisions are flat panel. People always
Absolutely.
keep on confusing flat panel with smart TVs.
Yes.
Right? So I keep on drawing the line that flat panel doesn't necessarily
mean smart TV. Absolutely.
Right? I hear
Absolutely,
you.
yeah. And as I said, what we heard from the broadcasters, the big four, the fact that we are content companies, we want to reach the viewers wherever they want to be, whether it's on internet or whether it's on linear TV. Similarly, I think DPOs would also want to look at things in terms of the fact that, okay, wherever the consumer wants to watch, I will give him all options. And, it's up to them where they want to watch. So this is effectively what we are saying, that for broadcasters and for even DPOs, this is not an alarming situation right now. The idea is to get the head down and work towards converting this 50 odd million households that are actually there out there in the market up for grabs, to try and upskill them, to try and convert them to, from DD free dish to pay TV.
Right.
And, keep doing what you're doing, because cord cutting eventually will happen. And I'm not talking about 2030. 2030 may see 40, 50 million households coming in. But in the next 5 to 6 years, we are sure that TV is something that is going to remain highly relevant. And that is something everybody should focus on in, very clear terms. Yeah.
Great. No, that's fantastic stuff, Poulomi, Vibhor. I think, you've given us all a new lease of life. I think all of them are going to give you shares in their company, right? Because I think it's incredible, because, the industry often is very unkind to us, right? I mean, we keep on hearing articles, "Arey, tumhara dhanda band ho raha hai, ye kya?" And we know what we've built up the assets.
Yeah.
Yes, the one thing I think for all of us as DPOs is that we should never be complacent.
Yes.
Right? As you pointed out, we need to focus on, can I get that, the segment that's moving from DD free dish to pay? Can I get the segment of rural? Can you talk a bit about rural, Vibhor? I mean, how do you see that? Because that is something that people keep on talking about, penetration. I mean, how do you see that?
No, so rural, as I said, is 62% penetration right now.
Right.
What happens is rural, obviously, there is a certain amount of difficulty in reaching that consumer also, because there is an infrastructure that is required. But what I believe is the fact that a lot of the DPOs have already created that infrastructure.
Yeah.
Now, that rural consumer has two options, right? Whether the consumer has an option that, okay, or rather 3 options, I would say. First option is go for a DD free dish,
Right.
which is not bad for us, because that person gets used to watching TV, used to watching the large screen, and if eventually, disposable income increases, that person may want to shift to actual pay TV. And the second option that they would have is go for a cable TV. Cable TV is slightly more expensive initially. And the third option would be, okay, I potentially have a Jio connection, because Jio is having a 40% market share right now. So I have a Jio connection. I watch on Jio TV whatever is available.
Got you.
But that experience is not there. And even if you watch on Jio TV and those kinds of things, you would want to have some kind of a, family wing. See, the point is, if you look at rural areas, I mean, I would potentially want to, when I'm coming from or traveling somewhere, I would want to watch quickly some stuff, because, disposable time is something that is at a premium for me.
Right.
But that may not be the case in a rural area where disposable time is higher than
Correct.
what it is there right
Got
now.
you.
So a family viewing is something that they would want to prefer. And
Right.
you know, whether it is through GeoTV or whether it is through a telco-led platform or whether it is through DD Free Dish, the idea is that they get used to consuming content, and once they get used to consuming content, it is upon us as DPOs to actually convert them to pay TV and get them into the fold.
Great. I think that's an important thing also from us, from a HITS perspective, right? Our whole objective was how to provide solutions in rural areas for our team here. That is a very clear point. Great. I think, oh, sorry, do you want
No,
to sum
that's
up?
it. That's it. I think we're largely done, yeah.
So if there are any questions that are there for Poulomi and Vibhor, I think it was a fantastic session because very clear the opportunity is there in the industry. Very clearly, it is all in our hands, right? I think we've got to all stop. One thing I'd like to say, I think we all need to stop saying or stop feeling that we are the threatened masses or classes, right? We've got to get up and say, listen, I'm as good as anyone else in this industry and I'm going to build my business. I think that is what's coming clear. As long as we do, as long as we take steps in the right direction, whether it's a question of focusing on hybrid technology, whether it's a question of focusing on giving consumers content in multiple ways, platforms, media, I think there's a clear opportunity of growth there. If there's any questions, Vibhor and Poulomi would be happy to take them,
Sure.
guys. Is there anyone who'd like to... Sorry, Ru, you... Yeah, please.
How do you see OTT platforms sort of evolving in the future? Disney recently announced that it had made $1.5 billion of loss in the last quarter on its OTT platforms and is even looking to scale back. You know, Netflix, everybody's had to increase their prices abroad. That hasn't related yet back here in India, but how do you see that evolving? Are you seeing the possibility of consolidation in that market and therefore higher prices going forward?
See, if you look at the OTT platforms in India, you spoke about the loss. Obviously, they are in a growth phase and an investment phase right now. Right now, the phase that they are in is actually the market share grab phase. So what they are trying to do is, you know, look at consumer acquisition, and that is their main aim. Having said that, you can't continue losses forever. So you'll have to make money eventually at some point in time, and which is what a lot of these platforms are trying to do in terms of increasing prices. You look at Hotstar. Hotstar, about 1.5 years back, was available for 399 rupees, Indian rupees, and even you could watch it on television. That price point for television has become 899 now, and 399 or 365 is only the mobile price right now. So OTT platforms right now are feeling the pinch. I don't think they can increase prices significantly in India because as is, I mean, you're not getting as much traction in terms of conversion of free users to paid users. And, you know, to balance profitability, a lot of these OTT platforms are looking to scale down content investments right now. So we've been hearing from industry sources that in the last 3 to 4 months, and there are articles out there also as well, that content investments are something that have been scaled down. A lot of the OTT consumption in India is also coming through telco deals. What happens in telco deals? So as I said, OTT will be having 80 million subscribers. Those 80 million will be potentially, B2C, direct subscribers. There are B2B2C subscribers also. Disney itself reports 62 million subscribers in India. And a lot of them will be coming in from, deals that they have with telcos as well. Telco deals, what happens is you get significantly lower ARPUs that you will get as compared to direct B2C deals. So I do see that they being a little more reasonable as far as their content investments is considered, but I don't see too much of a price increase happening because India is too price sensitive a market for that, and that price elasticity is not there. I mean, you may see decline in subscriptions if that price increase happens. They will be more reasonable as far as their content investments goes. But yes, I definitely see, and the work we have done also with OTT platforms, I don't see many of them making profitability EBITDA level basis in the next 2 to 3 years, for sure.
Vibhor, thank you. Poulomi,
Yeah.
before we wind up, any closing comments that you have? I know you played a very critical role in the report. You're the silent one who's worked on this
No, no,
report.
she's
Vibhor.
put this
That's
together.
what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
yeah.
I know
Yeah.
you put this together. Any comments that you'd have
So I
before we?
think just the one point on the OTT platforms consolidating, like we just heard from this gentleman, distribution is a basic problem for the smaller platforms because if you take your content out of the free sites like YouTube, people don't really want to come to your platform and they sure don't want to pay. So that could be, in my sense, and before you can back up, one reason for the smaller platforms gravitating towards the bigger ones, the Netflixes and Hotstars for distribution.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you,
Polami
Lucy, for
Vibhor,
having us. Thank you so
fantastic.
much.
I truly.
Great conversation,
I
I
think
would
this
say.
was incredible.